Greetings and salutations, YouTubers. This is Zillafan85, back today with my newest video, another figure review. And for today, I'm reviewing my Bandai Creation Gigan figure. This one I got on eBay a little while back. I wanted a standard size Gigan figure. The only other one that I had in my possession, well, I have the Gashapon one, which I previously reviewed, and I also have the Trendmasters Gigan figure. But I wanted one that's more of a movie accurate version, as far as a standard size figure goes. Because the Trendmasters ones, for anybody that's familiar, those Trendmasters Godzilla figures are really very stylized designs of the kaiju, so I prefer them to be more movie accurate looking. Not that I don't like them. I grew for nostalgic reasons. I do like my Trendmasters figures, and I'll definitely review those in the future. But for now, like I said, I wanted to take a look at this guy. Of course, this is based on the Showa Gigan, not the Final Wars one, and just from my personal opinion, I prefer the Showa Gigan. I like his design here much better than Final Wars. Certainly a kaiju that I love as well, definitely in my top 10 favorite kaiju, and an awesome, villainous kaiju for Godzilla as well, which I did state previously when I reviewed my Gashapon version of him. So definitely a kaiju that I hope that we'll see more of in the future. So Gigan, again, and I'm not going to get into too much detail on, history and what have you, because I kind of covered that mainly so, in my Gashapon review. But he first appeared in the 1972 film Godzilla vs. Gigan, and excuse me, and then he appeared again a year later, 1973's Godzilla vs. Megalon. So, he was basically controlled by the aliens from Nebula Space Hunter M, and was used in their plans to conquer Earth. So, so very, very, very cool stuff. So, again, going with the alien plot, and obviously he is a space monster, of course, but, I always enjoyed that plot when they covered that in the Godzilla films, so definitely something I loved. So as far as this figure goes itself, like I said, this is by Bandai Creation, so the the Bandai America version of him. It was originally released, I believe, in 2002, and this one I think is a reissue of that. I think this one might have been released in 2007, if I'm remembering correctly, but don't quote me on that. But I happen to really, really like this one. I think they did a very nice job with it. It's not perfect, but I do think Bandai Creation did a good job with this. Some of their figures I do happen to like, and this, of course, is one of them. So we'll take a look at him. Start with the paint scheme. Very indicative of how Gigan looks. You've got that main color on his body, that skin tone, that dark, or sort of forest green color that he's got. I think they did a very nice job painting it. You can kind of see that all around him there. Looks really good. You've also got the gold color that he's got on him as well, going down from his neck, to his chest and abdomen area, and of course all the way down to the bottom of his tail, and it blends in, very nicely with the dark green color. So I think they did a nice job with that. Of course, the gold color for his wings as well, very nice looking there. Also very prominent on him, you've got that sort of silverish color, I would say, what you got for like the beak and mandibles, and of course you got for all his spikes he's got going down his body, and the head and neck, and of course down his tail, and then of course for his claws that he's got, these hook claws that he's got, very signature looking of Gigan. Got the silver color there, and that big long claw on each of his feet. Also that silver color, and then of course the silver spikes for that buzzsaw that he's got going down from his chest and abdomen area. And I think they did a nice job with the paint scheme there. It's pretty good overall. There's a little bit of wear off from it, as you can kind of see in certain spots. So not 100%, but it's not too sloppy. So like I said, I think this is very nicely done. Then otherwise for the paint scheme, you've got that red color that he's got for that mono eye that he's got. And which looks really, really cool. And I think they did a nice job with that as well, so you can see right there. So that does pretty much cover it for the paint scheme on him. So next we'll just jump into the detail. So one segues into the other, and I do think again they did a nice job with the detail. They did a nice job sculpting that beak and the mandibles that he's got. So again, you can take another look at that, and of course that red mono eye. Again, I did buy this. You know, it was a used figure, so it's a little bit scuffed. It's not perfect. You can see a little bit of the scuffing there. You know, some of the parts, other than scuffs on them, you can see a little bit of worn paint as well. Like on the feet there, the claws on the feet and whatnot, and the hook claws on his hands. So a little bit of wear and tear on him, but it's not too bad overall. It really, to me, doesn't take away from it too much. You know, just in certain spots. But, you know, I'm not going to nitpick too much on it. But like I said, overall, though, I think they did a nice job with the sculpt on him. So again, that head of his looks very, very signature of how he looks in the film. You can see around him, you got that neck with the folds on him there. You got those spikes, which are nicely done here. They're not very sharp, but they are sculpted pretty well and very indicative of Gigan's look. So you can see again going all the way down to his tail. They didn't include that sort of claw on the end of his tail that he's got. They left it more of just like the natural, you know, skin, instead of having that sort of like I said, that sort of claw blade on the end of his tail. I don't know why, but you know, it's not too big of a deal overall. They did a nice job, see here with the gold, and they really did a nice job with the scaling. And again, you can feel the texturing. It's not just like smooth, it actually does feel textured. So when you put your finger over it, you can definitely feel the texturing that they've gotten all the way down to the bottom of his tail. Of course, on the other side as well. The wings are a bit of a drawback, and I did watch Godzilla Fan Freak's review of his. He's got the fusion version, which has that sort of like translucent color, and it glows under a certain light, which is pretty cool. This is the standard Bandai Creation version of it. Like the tips of his wings here, they should have been more pointed outward and have like the points coming across. You know, as opposed to being more smoothed out like they look here. So they do look more plasticky, as you can kind of see there on the wings, instead of, like I said, instead of being pointier like they should on the ends. But it's not terrible. It doesn't take away from it too much, and at least they did the nice job with the scales and stuff, you know, segmentations on the wings. So I think they did a pretty good job with that. Again, they got a lot of the detail sculpted in for like the flaps on his arms and everything. The hook claws look pretty indicative of his movie design, as well as the claws on his feet. Again, the buzzsaw chest that he's got there, and very nicely done with the way that the paint goes in from that green color into the how it, you know, it's in like those 4 points going into his you know, his chest area there, which is very signature of Gigan's look. So very, very cool. You got those knee caps that he's got there with that smooth sort of feel to them, as opposed to the other part of the body, you know, like the legs and arms and stuff, which are more rough feeling. So very, very cool. Again, I think they did a very good job with this. This is definitely a Bandai Creation figure that I'm happy to have. You know, some of them are hit and miss for me. I don't really like any of the Godzilla ones, but some of the other kaiju, like Gigan, for example, I think they did a good job with. So that pretty much covers it for paint and detail. The other thing that we'll look at, like usual for me, is articulation, if there is any, and for him, he does have basic articulation. So the head can rotate, and it does go all the way around. It's a little bit tight, but it does rotate 360 if you like that. Like I said, you know, like I usually say, I'm not crazy about it, but I'll showcase it here for the review. The arms can both rotate. I think they go all the way around. They don't really rub against the legs, so you're not going to have to worry about that too much there. They pretty much avoid the legs. And of course the legs themselves, speaking of which, do rotate as well. So that, yep, and they can go all the way around 360 there, 360 there. So as you see, just rotate them around and around back the other way. And there is like a glue seal on the tail. I don't really recommend breaking glue seals ever. If you want to, you can. This one moves a little bit, and I don't know if it was the previous owner just kind of messed with it a bit, but I'm not going to mess with it too much. But other than that, though, so like I said, so you got the basic articulation there, which to me serves the purpose. You know, certain figures is cool to have like a lot of points of articulation, like the super articulated figures. But, you know, certainly for what you're getting with him, though, I think that this works out just fine, at least in my opinion anyways. So that's pretty much it. I don't really mess with sizing too much. Again, this is a standard size figure from Bandai Creation, so it's in that, you know, sort of 6-inch range, basically. So it will size in very well with other 6-inch figures. And again, because it is Bandai Creation, it's pretty readily available that you can find online on eBay, etc., etc. And it's not, you know, again, not one that's going to break the bank or anything like that. It's probably going to be in that sort of, because it's been out for a little while, it's going to be probably in that $30 range, something around there is what you would kind of expect to pay for it. But as opposed to getting higher end figures like X Plus or SH Monster Arts, which they don't, at least to my knowledge, they don't have an SH Monster Arts Showa Gigan at this point. But you know, but some of like the higher end figures obviously are going to cost much more. So this is a good affordable way to go to have a standard size Gigan figure in your collection. So I definitely recommend picking him up if you are interested. So that does pretty much cover it for this review. I was hoping to finish this up a little bit sooner, trying to not take too long, but you know, it's always so much fun to talk about anything Godzilla related and talk about my figures and whatnot. So that does pretty much wrap it up, though, folks. If you would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. If you would like to like and or comment on any of my figures, please feel free to do so as well. And just remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you be good to yourselves, and sayonara.